The air in the Las Vegas arena buzzed with anticipation. A humid haze of excitement and tension hanging over the packed crowd. Neon lights bathed the venue in a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting off the polished floor of the boxing ring at the center. It was fight night, and not just any fight. A charity exhibition match that had drawn A-listers, sports legends, and fans from across the globe. The event was meant to raise funds for underprivileged youth. A noble cause that had brought together an unlikely mix of celebrities and athletes. At the heart of it all was Jason Statham, the action star whose presence alone commanded attention. Dressed in a tailored black suit, he sat ringside in the VIP section, his steely gaze fixed on the ring, a faint smirk playing on his lips. Beside him was his partner, Rosie. Her elegance a quiet contrast to the chaos around them. Statham wasn't here to fight tonight. He was a guest. A supporter of the cause. His name lending weight to the event. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. The main event was a spectacle. A retired boxing legend, Marcus "Iron" Caldwell. A man whose name was synonymous with grit and glory in the 90s. Was set to face off against a rising MMA star, Derek "the Viper" Vance. Caldwell, now in his late 50s, was a hulking figure with a scarred face, and a reputation for knocking out opponents with a single, devastating hook. His return to the ring, even for a charity match, was a nod to his legacy. A chance to show the world he still had it. Vance, on the other hand, was young, brash, and hungry for fame. At 28, he was all muscle and swagger. His MMA record a string of brutal knockouts. The contrast was stark. Experience versus youth. Legend versus upstart. The crowd was split. Some chanting Caldwell's name. Others hyping Vance's promise of a new era. As the fighters warmed up, the announcer's voice boomed through the arena, hyping the crowd. Statham leaned back in his seat, his fingers drumming lightly on the armrest. He'd always admired Caldwell. Not just for his skill but for the man's heart. Caldwell had grown up in a rough neighborhood, much like Statham himself, and had used his success to give back, funding gyms and mentorship programs for kids. Statham had met him once, years ago, at a training camp in London. The memory stuck. Caldwell's quiet humility. His calloused hands. The way he spoke about discipline as a lifeline. Tonight, Statham was here to support him. To honor a man who'd paved the way for fighters like him. The fight began with a roar from the crowd. Caldwell moved with a measured grace. His footwork deliberate. His guard high. Vance, true to his nickname, was a blur of motion. Darting in and out. Testing Caldwell with jabs and low kicks. The first round was a chess match. Each man sizing the other up. But as the bell rang for the second, Vance's demeanor shifted. He started showboating. Dropping his hands. Taunting Caldwell with a cocky grin. "Come on, old man," he shouted. Loud enough for the front rows to hear. "You're past your prime. Go back to the nursing home." The crowd gasped. Some booing, others laughing nervously. Caldwell's face remained stone. But Statham's jaw tightened. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Rosie placed a hand on his arm, sensing the shift in his mood. Vance's taunts grew bolder. Between combinations, he mocked Caldwell's age, his style, even his charity work. "You think you're some hero? You're just a has-been milking his glory days." The words cut deeper than any punch. Caldwell absorbed a hard right to the jaw, staggering slightly. But he stayed upright, his eyes burning with resolve. The crowd was on edge now. The atmosphere electric with unease. Statham's hands curled into fists. He knew the game. Vance was trying to get under Caldwell's skin. To break his focus. But this wasn't just strategy. It was disrespect. A cheap shot at a man who'd earned his place in history. By the third round, Vance was dominating. His youth and speed gave him the edge. Landing sharp kicks to Caldwell's legs. Wearing the older man down. Caldwell's punches were still heavy. But they were slower now. His breathing labored. The crowd sensed the tide turning. And so did Vance. After landing a vicious uppercut that snapped Caldwell's head back. Vance turned to the audience, arms spread wide, soaking in the cheers. Then he made his mistake. Pointing at Caldwell, he shouted. "This guy's a fraud. A washed-up legend who can't even stand straight." He laughed, then scanned the VIP section. Locking eyes with Statham. "And what's this? Hollywood's tough guy sitting pretty? You gonna cry for your hero, Statham? Maybe you should stick to fake fights." The arena fell silent for a split second. The insult hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Statham's smirk vanished. Rosie's grip tightened on his arm. But he gently moved her hand aside. Standing slowly. The crowd murmured. Heads turning as the action star stepped toward the ring. Security hesitated, unsure whether to intervene. Statham's presence was magnetic. His every movement deliberate. Like a predator sizing up prey. He climbed the steps to the ring. His eyes locked on Vance, who stood frozen. His bravado flickering. Caldwell, panting, looked at Statham with a mix of surprise and gratitude. But he waved him off, as if to say, "I've got this." Statham shook his head. His voice low but carrying across the silent arena. "You don't get to disrespect a legend like that, kid." The referee, sensing the tension, signaled for a pause. Vance, recovering his swagger, sneered. "What, you gonna fight me, movie star? This ain't a set. You'll get hurt." Statham didn't flinch. He slipped off his jacket, revealing the lean, muscled frame that had made him an action icon. The crowd erupted. Half in shock, half in anticipation. Statham wasn't just an actor. He'd trained in kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and Wing Chun for decades. His skills honed to a razor's edge. He'd never fought professionally. But those who knew him knew he was no stranger to real combat. The organizers, caught off guard, scrambled to the ring. The announcer, sensing a moment that could make history, grabbed the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, an unexpected twist. Jason Statham is stepping into the ring for an impromptu challenge." The crowd roared. Phones flashing as thousands captured the moment. Caldwell, leaning against the ropes, nodded at Statham. A silent acknowledgement. He stepped out, giving Statham the floor. Vance, now cornered by his own bravado, had no choice but to agree. The referee set ground rules. 3 minutes, no knockouts, just a spar to settle the score. The bell rang. Vance came out swinging. His fists fast and wild. Aiming to prove he could take down a celebrity. But Statham was a ghost. Slipping punches with the agility of his diving days. His footwork precise from years of martial arts. He countered with a crisp jab, catching Vance off guard. Then a low kick that made the younger man stumble. The crowd was on its feet, screaming. Statham didn't fight with anger. His movements were calculated, almost surgical. A testament to his discipline. Vance, frustrated, threw a sloppy right hook. Statham ducked, grabbed Vance's arm, and executed a flawless judo throw, sending him crashing to the mat. The arena exploded. Vance scrambled up, his face red with embarrassment. He charged again. But Statham was ready, landing a spinning back kick that caught Vance in the chest, knocking the wind out of him. The referee stepped in, signaling the end of the spar. The crowd chanted Statham's name, but he didn't bask in it. Instead, he walked over to Vance, offering a hand to help him up. "Respect the game," he said quietly, his voice firm but not cruel. "And respect the people who built it." Vance, humbled, nodded, his ego deflated. As Statham stepped out of the ring, Caldwell approached him, clapping a heavy hand on his shoulder. "You didn't have to do that," the legend said, his voice thick with emotion. Statham shrugged, his smirk returning. "Couldn't let him talk to you like that, mate. You're the real deal." The two men shared a moment, the weight of their shared respect cutting through the noise of the crowd. Rosie met Statham at the ropes, her eyes shining with pride but also a hint of worry. "You're impossible," she whispered. But her smile betrayed her admiration. The night didn't end with a winner declared in the ring, but the message was clear. Statham's intervention wasn't just about shutting down a cocky fighter. It was about standing up for a man who'd given everything to the sport. A man who'd inspired countless others, including Statham himself. The charity event raised millions. But the real story was the unspoken bond between two men from different worlds, united by a code of honor. As Statham and Rosie left the arena, the crowd still buzzing, he glanced back at the ring, where Caldwell was raising his fists to the cheering fans. For a moment, Statham felt like a kid again, watching his hero, knowing some legends never fade.